created an early childhood advisory council. And that advisory council is the group that writes the grant for the money. And so needless to say, you want a seat at any table that's writing a grant. To my knowledge, and I've talked to the state legislative office, we're the only state that has a public library seat on that council. And that did not happen just because they are brilliant at the state, don't get me wrong, but that some brilliant person up there said, oh, libraries. It happened because they all thought the same thing as Dr. Reed Lyon did, I'm absolutely certain, in the late 90s. Libraries, what a great idea, I never thought of it. But because several of us have been constantly making time and putting these attendance at these meetings and councils on top of our regular job, they recognize what a value we are now. And so they're writing the grant, and the grant has libraries in there as a facilitator for early literacy skills for children. I mean, we're listed as a team member, and that's why we're there. And most likely we will not get more money into libraries this first round. That never happens just because you're now planning to plan the way these huge grants go. But the point is, you have a sensitivity and an awareness of the organizer's head as to the importance of the library. And then you have somebody on that council. And I think here we are, 10 years later, I guess. Mm-hmm. And Stephanie stated earlier about 7 years maybe to make a culture change. And I think that's the same thing that can be said at the state level. Because of Dr. Grasmick's commitment, and also we have an Office for Children in our state, led now by Rosemary King Johnston, who is a huge supporter of libraries and also a believer in early childhood. She was the chair of the original Early Childhood Advisory Council. And so they call together this council every couple months to see, and they've had a plan. This was the original plan, but there's been an update to the plan. And the problem is this bloody economy has gotten in the way of all of our hopes and dreams, but it has not stopped people from meeting. And as they say, the best time to plan is in downtimes. And so we continue to meet. But there is that state commitment to early childhood, which I think is huge. And public libraries, I'm not sure that we would have invested this much staff time and energy in it if we didn't see that there was that state commitment. I mean, obviously we would still want all of our children to get to school as ready to read as they can, but if you don't have the hope that you're going to get some state funding or state support, then you're not as likely to invest local dollars in that when you're running a public library. And some of us have gotten that local money. I mean, when I was in Wycomico County, we got a $100,000 a year grant, and we managed the early childhood coordinator out of the library. And so needless to say, that coordinator had library at top of her priority list. Caroline County, I believe, does. Carroll County has money from their local management board. Dorchester County does. So there's, and Baltimore County had one. Yeah. But we can't leave without talking about Storyville at Baltimore County, which was special funding from the county administrator, I believe, or one county executive, to build the Storyville as well as the foundation.
Was the foundation?
The foundation. Okay, started it.
Right.
And then what it is a separate area for children birth to grade 1 or 2. Is it
really?
Five, grade 5.
No, age 5.
Oh, age 5. Okay, birth to age 5, where it is actually a children's museum based around literacy skills. And it's a separate area. It's not within the library, but it's like a door to the right, but it's right next to the library. But they incorporate books and literacy experiences in this environment that is totally designed to the developmental needs and abilities of that child. And the parent, which I think is the most glorious thing of this, is that the adult must stay with the child. It's not a babysitting service like the ballroom used to be in IKEA. You must stay there with your child and interact in the experiences with the child. So they built one in one branch on the east end of the county, Rosedale. Then they got this special allocation from the county executive because he saw the huge success and they built another one on the west end of the county, and just opened it within the last couple months. And I don't think any of us, nor does Baltimore County, probably believe any of us can replicate that because of the cost. But what it does is it again ramps up the visibility of public libraries in terms of being a major educational experience for young children and parents. So the parent is recognizing libraries are not these quiet little places that you go to only maybe when you're getting research projects. So I think that's a huge benefit to our state and gives us a whole different visibility and concept.